What you are about to hear was never supposed to leak, but it did. And once you know it, you cannot unknow it. Hello, friends. My name is James, and you are watching Royal Daily Report, your #1 source for the most exclusive, most shocking, and most talked about royal stories on the internet. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now because you do not want to miss what we have coming. And if you have been here from the beginning, you already know. We never stop. We never hold back. And tonight is no different. Let us get into it. 2 children, born thousands of miles from Buckingham Palace, raised in California's sunshine, not in royal nurseries. Photographed almost never. Known to the world only through carefully cropped Instagram posts and a handful of confirmed reports. And yet, under British law, under a document signed by a king more than a century ago, they hold a legal status that almost nobody fully understands. Prince Archie of Sussex, Princess Lilibet of Sussex. Tonight we are telling you the full, verified, legal story of exactly what Archie and Lilibet's royal status actually is. Not the rumors, not the speculation, the actual law, the actual documents, the actual statements from Buckingham Palace itself. Because the truth about these 2 children's place in this family is more complicated, more legally fascinating, and more emotionally loaded than almost anyone realizes. This is Royal Daily Report, and tonight, we are breaking down exactly who Archie and Lilibet are, under the law of the country their father comes from. Let us start with the document at the center of everything. In 1917, King George V issued what is known as the Letters Patent, a formal legal decree that established, for the first time in writing, exactly who in the royal family is entitled to be called prince or princess, and who is entitled to the style His or Her Royal Highness. The 1917 rules stated that the title belongs to the children of the sovereign, the children of the sovereign's sons, and the eldest son of the eldest son of the Prince of Wales. For decades, this document quietly governed who could and could not be styled as a prince or princess across generations of the royal family. And it is the exact same document that determined what happened to Archie and Lilibet the moment Queen Elizabeth II died. Royal historian Marlene Koenig has described the 1917 Letters Patent as having effectively established the current system of who is royal and who is not. That sentence matters because it tells you this is not some obscure technicality. This is the foundational legal framework for the entire modern system of royal titles in Britain. If you want to understand exactly what changed for Archie and Lilibet the moment Charles became king, subscribe to Royal Daily Report right now. Because what comes next is the precise legal mechanism that almost nobody explains correctly. Here is exactly what happened. When Queen Elizabeth II died on September 8, 2022, and Charles acceded to the throne, the rules of the 1917 Letters Patent automatically applied to a new generation. Archie and Lilibet, as the children of Prince Harry, who is a son of the new monarch, became legally entitled to be styled Prince and Princess, with the full prefix His or Her Royal Highness. This was not a gift. This was not a favor Charles chose to extend. It was automatic. The moment Charles became king, the legal status of his grandchildren changed under a document signed by his great-great-grandfather more than 100 years earlier. Royal Insider, reporting in May 2026, confirmed that the official line of succession pages maintained by the royal family were formally updated to list Prince Archie of Sussex and Princess Lilibet of Sussex. Wikipedia's entry on Lilibet confirms the precise legal language, stating that following the death of Elizabeth II and the accession of Charles III, Lilibet became entitled to use the title princess and the style Royal Highness as the child of a son of the monarch, pursuant to the Letters Patent issued by King George V in 1917. That is not opinion. That is not speculation. That is the documented, confirmed legal reality of these 2 children's status under British law right now. Like this video right now if you had no idea the legal mechanics behind this were this precise. And subscribe to Royal Daily Report, because what comes next is where the story gets genuinely interesting. Because legal entitlement and actual public usage are 2 very different things. Here is where the story becomes complicated. Because being legally entitled to a title and actually using that title publicly are not the same thing. And the gap between those 2 realities is exactly what has confused so many people about Archie and Lilibet's status. According to a detailed fact-check analysis published in April 2026, Archie and Lilibet were formally added as prince and princess on the royal line of succession pages after King Charles's accession, which legally entitles them to those styles. But whether they will actually use the HRH prefix in public life remains contested and conditional on parental choice, palace practice, and future decisions by the sovereign. In other words, the law gave them the title automatically. But whether the world actually sees them referred to that way day to day depends on choices being made by Harry and Meghan themselves. And there is precedent here that confirms exactly that pattern. On March 8, 2023, a spokesperson for Harry and Meghan confirmed Lilibet's baptism, which had taken place days earlier. That statement marked the very first time her parents had publicly used her title, referring to her as Princess Lilibet Diana. The following day, March 9, 2023, the official website of the royal family was updated to refer to her as Princess Lilibet of Sussex. So the title exists. It is confirmed. It has been used, at least once, in an official capacity, by both the Sussex family's own spokesperson and by the royal family's official website simultaneously. Do not go anywhere. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report and turn on those notifications. Because what comes next explains why. Despite all of this, you almost never hear these children referred to by their full royal titles in everyday coverage. Here is the practical reality. Despite their legal entitlement, Harry and Meghan have, by most observable evidence, chosen not to use the prince and princess titles routinely in everyday public life. Multiple outlets covering this story in 2026 have framed the likely ongoing reality as a split between formal protocol and daily practice. Archie and Lilibet are prince and princess on official lists and in formal royal contexts. But because Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020 and remain non-working members of the family, the routine, everyday use of the full HRH prefix has largely been avoided. Some reporting suggests this is a deliberate choice by Harry and Meghan, consistent with their broader position that they want their children to have as normal a life as possible, away from the full weight of royal formality. Former royal butler and commentator Grant Harold offered an explanation, speaking on behalf of Slingo, that captures the nuance precisely. He said, "As grandchildren of the king, it was always intended that one day Archie and Lilibet would be titled prince and princess, but this would still have to be with the king's approval." He continued, "Archie and Lilibet's futures were always going to see them in the spotlight, regardless of titles. However, with their titles, it shows they are still seen as senior members of the royal family, which in my view is something the new king and queen consort are happy with." That is a significant statement. A former royal household insider, suggesting that Charles is not just tolerating these titles as an unavoidable legal technicality, but is genuinely comfortable with Archie and Lilibet being recognized as senior members of his family. Now let us talk about what name actually appears on their official documents, because this is a detail that surprises almost everyone. Despite holding the legal title of prince and princess, Archie and Lilibet's official family surname remains Mountbatten-Windsor, exactly as recorded on their birth certificates. The combined surname created by Queen Elizabeth II in 1960 for descendants of her and Prince Philip, who do not carry a royal title in everyday use. So in formal, legal, and official contexts, these two children exist with a fascinating dual identity. Prince Archie of Sussex and Princess Lilibet of Sussex on the line of succession. Archie and Lilibet Mountbatten-Windsor on their birth certificates and in their everyday lives in California. Both are true simultaneously. Neither cancels out the other. It is, in its own way, a perfect legal reflection of the lives these two children actually lead. Royal by entitlement, ordinary by daily experience. Let us talk about where Archie and Lilibet sit in the line of succession itself, because this is another detail that is frequently misunderstood. According to Wikipedia's confirmed entry, Lilibet is currently 7th in line to the British throne. Archie sits just ahead of her, as the elder sibling. They are legitimate, fully recognized members of the line of succession, positioned behind their father Harry and behind William's 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. They are not symbolic placeholders. They are not honorary additions. Under the actual constitutional law of succession in the United Kingdom, Archie and Lilibet hold real, numbered positions in the chain of people who could, under extraordinary and almost unimaginable circumstances, one day become monarch. That fact alone tells you something important about how seriously their legal status must be taken, regardless of how rarely they are seen in public, regardless of how distant their daily lives are from royal duty, regardless of the rift between their father and the institution he was born into. Now let us talk about how this connects to everything we have been covering about the July 2026 reunion crisis. Because Grant Harold's comment about Charles being happy with his grandchildren being recognized as senior royals takes on new weight in the context of everything currently unfolding. A king who is reportedly fighting to make a July reunion happen, who reportedly offered to personally finance the trip and cover security costs, who is described by insiders as overjoyed at the prospect of seeing Archie and Lilibet, is also, according to former palace insiders, a king who is comfortable with these two children holding full, legitimate royal status. This is not a grandfather who views Archie and Lilibet as a complicated footnote to be managed quietly. This is, according to every available source, a grandfather who recognizes them as exactly what the 1917 letters patent says they legally are: his grandchildren, senior members of his family, entitled, by the same law that governs every other royal title in this family, to the same recognition as their cousins George, Charlotte, and Louis. Here is what this story ultimately tells us. Archie and Lilibet are not a special case invented by tabloid speculation. They are not honorary royals receiving a courtesy title. Under the precise legal language of a document signed by King George V in 1917 and confirmed by Charles's own accession in September 2022, they are Prince Archie of Sussex and Princess Lilibet of Sussex, Royal Highnesses, 7th and just ahead of 7th in line to the throne of the United Kingdom. The fact that the world rarely hears them called by those titles is not a reflection of their legal status. It is a reflection of a choice, made by their parents, respected so far by the institution, to let two small children grow up as quietly and normally as two children with that legal status possibly can. Whether that choice continues, whether Charles's reported comfort with their senior status translates into more visible recognition as they grow older, whether the upcoming July visit, if it survives the current security crisis, becomes the moment the world finally sees these two children as the prince and princess the law has always said they are. That is the story still being written. This is Royal Daily Report, and we will be here to tell you every chapter of it. That is all for tonight, friends. I am James, and this has been Royal Daily Report. If this story hit different for you, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you have not already and turn on those notifications because we drop new stories every single week. Share this video with one friend who loves royal news. I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay informed, stay curious, and stay royal. Goodbye, friends. Hello, friends. If you are not subscribed to Royal Daily Report yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button right now.